What moment in video games made you go fuck this? Is no one gonna call out Driver for the PS1? Fuck the garage. When I got blown up by a creeper after getting 24 diamonds. First time I played Resident Evil 7 in VR. I'm screaming like a bitch after the second jump scare. Whole lot of nope. Dude, the basement and the sounds. Had to take the headset off and pat my dog. A lot of scenarios in the OG Tomb Raider back in the day. Was the first game of its kind I had played, and there was more than a handful of times fuck this was exclaimed LOL. TR2, the Venice boat escapade. The jump made me go oh, for fuck's sake. Anytime I beat a boss only to realize I've only beaten their armor. God of War, The Last Valkyrie. Tried and failed at least 200 times. It can't be done by me. It took me almost 2 years of trying and giving up on that boss fight to beat it on the hardest difficulty. Not gonna lie, watching Kratos slam her into the ground and rip her wings off was satisfying. I shin the swordsman. I managed to defeat him though. The wounded frostbite spider in Bleak Falls Barrow in Skyrim. I used to have major arachnophobia, so seeing a giant ass spider just come out of a hole in the ceiling, I paused the game and literally stayed staring at it for about 5 minutes, just building up the courage to unpause. Edit. Well, hot damn. Guess I'm not alone. RIP my inbox and all that. Thanks for the awards too. I know there's a mod that replaces all the spiders with bears, but I don't know if it replaces the giant spider. It does. Sadly, the original version, which simply swapped them with the textures of a bear in a T-pose, is long gone and now they just function properly. Edit. Thanks for my first award, kind redditor. Edit 2. The fact that this of all things is the most popular thing I've ever written is just perfect. Fallout 1, when I thought I'd just throw my stats around like any other Fallout game, I decided to stab a rat to death to save bullets. The epic, massively long and withdrawn battle went down like this. The rat missed. You missed. The rat missed. You missed. The rat missed. After a fair few minutes, upwards to over an hour of that, I decided that I should probably take a break and brainstorm a better character. That rat didn't invest in good stats either apparently. It was like a gunfight between two stormtroopers. Mayo, that's literally the very first room in the game as well. Playing one of those build your empire games and had to buy stuff to get to higher levels. Nope. Go fuck yourself. Uninstall. I figured. How else we're going to pay Kate Upton for being a huge asset in that ad campaign? I was playing one of those Dark Souls-like games. I spent 3 hours bashing my head against the first tutorial boss. Realized I actually suck at these types of game and don't have the time to try getting good. And I just quit. I has bought Kingdom Hearts 1.5 plus 2.5 Final HD Remix back when it came out on the PS3. If anyone's played the first game, you should know how bullshit the end boss battle sequence is. If you don't, it's essentially a marathon of bosses with no checkpoints throughout. So if you die, you start from the beginning. I think you also lose your companions for part of it, which is its own kind of bullshit. But here is what is the worst part. Restarting means restarting the cutscenes. Every time. And they are unskippable. You have to watch them every damn time, you guys. I'm not particularly good at video games, so it took me like 50 tries to beat it. So I said fuck this and never picked up the second or third game TLDR. Unskippable cutscenes are the fucking worst. When I spent like a half hour tracking down and wrangling the best horse in RDR2, only to have it be killed by random highwaymen on the way to town to get horse revivers. Haven't touched the game since. Oh no, this one makes me full body cringe. I'm so sorry that happened to you, man. It took me so long to get that white Arabian. I would probably kill everybody and then myself if anything were to happen to my Virgil. When I first start and see that the camera controls are whack. Cuphead, the genie level on hard mode. I had beat the game on normal, which is still hard but fair, and generally you can always say I know what I did wrong. I'll try again hard playthrough. I cleared everything up to that level and even a few beyond him. But that genie on hard was cheap as hell and I couldn't even get to his final phase. After trying probably 50 times, finally decided that I guess I wasn't beating the game on hard. Uncharted 1, when you have to pilot a boat upriver while being shot at and having TNT barrels thrown at you while protecting a useless NPC in the boat. Turned the game off, swearing to never play again. I let a year or 5 pass, then beat Uncharted 1, 2, and 3. Also fuck the entire game Deus Ex Mankind Divided. Edit. So I may have gotten some parts wrong, but it doesn't change the fact that this is where I rage quit, which was the original question. First time Arthur Morgan started coughing, Dart friends had already ruined the ending for me. When I played Sea of Thieves, I made it about 2 hours. If you played this before, you know. PS1. First Resident Evil. I was at my buddy's house. It was an old house, the kind that you always had the feeling someone was watching you. Anyways, I was upstairs in his room and he let me try it out. He had to go downstairs to get something in the game. I walked out of the beginning room and the cutscene looks to the left, down the hall, and the zombie was eating that body, then turns and looks at me. I noped the game, turned it off and waited till he got back. I told him I just wasn't into it. The dog that jumps through the window in that first hallway, it still freaks me out to this day. When I played the Xbox Switch remaster I was ready for it, but they altered the scene to happen when you come back through the hallway. They got me twice. Yup, that was the moment where I screamed and turned it off. I can watch others play, but I can't do it myself. I thought I was awesome at Madden. Then they invented online play. Some fucking 10-year-old used Hail Mary on every play and went for it on every 4th down and then blitzed me on every defensive play. And there was nothing I could do to stop it as he just talked about banging my mom the whole time. Madden is so damn broken, lol. I believe the guy who won the Madden tournament a year or so ago did so by putting a punter at QB and offensive linemen as wide receivers. The cap money they spent, they put all at running back and defense. Every time on offense they had 10 offensive linemen and a running back on the field and they just pounded the rock every play. With an elite defense on the other side they were untouchable. Edit. Since this blew up, here's a simple crash course in American football video. https://yahoo.be/ddwp1hyfer. Yup, Madden is insanely broken. The characters all get into animation lock and you can't do anything. It's a shit game. Day 1 of No Man's Sky. After 3 hours of gameplay there was a sense of deja vu about the endless farming. No Man's Sky's just weird. I love it because I love games like this. And looking back at the interviews there was no way of knowing it was like this. It felt like everyone had a different idea of what the game was. Some thought it was a space sim, like Elite Dangerous, others thought it was Minecraft. But in space others thought it was just a walking sim, but you fly instead. Failing the Vice City helicopter mission for like the 7th time and quitting the game. I never got past that mission. On a similar note, San Andreas, where you have to kill the drug dealers with the RC plane. To this day my most frustrating video game experience. Back in the good old days of PUBG, vehicles were special in their own way. Frequently, all it took was a small rub against your player and the vehicle would knock you out. It happened once with 2 players remaining, me and another solo. Needless to say, I hopped out my vehicle and my Dacia tickled me in the butt and killed me. May I add that winning that round would qualify me for a $50,000 tournament. Ground Zero in The Last of Us 2. The second Nora said no one had been down to those levels of the hospital since it was overrun. I just knew something awful was gonna be waiting down there. First time I encountered a xenomorph alien. Isolation. Hid in a closet for 15 minutes, shut off the game and haven't played it since. Going back to play games like GTA San Andreas or Red Dead Redemption from the beginning. Those games suck in the beginning, especially after playing it for a while. Being taught how to play a game you know how to play is so fucking frustrating. Go grab a bike, CJ, fuck you. Let's get to gang warfare. That one level in Pokemon, I can't remember if it was Gold or Crystal, where you have to slide on the ice in a certain pattern. Years later I picked up the game to run through it again for nostalgia's sake and that level broke me. Just couldn't figure it out. There's always a moment in every Assassin's Creed game where stealth no longer becomes an option due to fuck-ups. NPCs are the most common cause. Bullshit. That's it. Fuck it. Everyone dies. What do you mean? Are you saying you didn't want to randomly perch on the end of this park bench in the middle of this very intense and important chase fight? The final boss of Final Fantasy IX. He had an attack that would drop your party to 1 HP each. He also had another move that would berserk your characters. I had fought him for a bit, but eventually he had everyone berserked and had killed off everyone but Steiner. At that point I could literally do nothing. Said fuck it and tossed the controller down. I went and grabbed a can of Coke and when I came back, Steiner was still berserkered and still attacking all by himself. I sat down and watched as the boss kept hitting him with a move that put him at 1 HP. Steiner kept wailing on him though, and as I watched, I managed to beat FF9 without even holding a controller in my hand. Is this the one where you just have Regan and because it's time based and his attack animations are so long you can fully heal before it hits? My whole cargo getting destroyed by a moron on a flying bike with undodgeable missiles. Fuck GTA. I think the worst part is that from what I can see, the server announces when a player's working a heist. GTA V isn't enough for me to buy the game. And GTA is full of immature assholes who like screwing over randoms. If I wanted to play in that kind of universe, I'd go back to Eve. Not just when it shows live location 2 on the goddamn map. RT2 is encouraging trolling on purpose to push a damn that sucks about your shipment mate. Buy a shark card instead. It pushed me to not play in the months. Ain't nobody got time or money for that. Timed missions. Fuck that. Fuck them. And fuck you developers for putting them in. This is totally completely 100% my own opinion. I acknowledge that lots of people like the challenge and the chance to prove their skills. I don't play for that. I just like the story. And a timed mission does nothing to advance the storyline. Timed missions take all the fun out of games for me. Like, oh, you were having fun, here's a timer. Welcome to Stress City. If it's a side mission, I'll tolerate it. Main story? Fuck that. When the mobile game I was playing went from no ads at all to unskippable 30-second ads, instant uninstall. I stopped downloading free games like a year ago. I'd rather buy a $5 game and regret it 2 hours later than download free game and regret having spent 12 hours on it when I reach the point of pay to win or GTFO. Also, of the dozens of games I've bought over the years, I've never really regretted any of them.